a win tonight to tie the Rams in the Western Division of the NFC. They have high hopes that they can, for the first time ever, Howard, go to the playoffs.
Well, Frank, Kenny Stabler, the bearded leader of the Oakland Raiders, hit this great southern city and said, we recognize the Saints' weapons. The key to this game for us is ball control, meaning by that, keeping possession of the ball more time in the game than the opposition. And by that, he means further, much more time. Whether...
Third down, quick toss, Galbraith. He bowls in. Touchdown, New Orleans.
I tell you, he deserves credit for that one. He really forced his own way.
He did. He had J.T. Taylor out there in front of him. As you see a shot of the crowd, they're going wild.
Crowd chanting. Defense. Stabler to Casper, incomplete, intercepted.
He's gone.
Eric Felton, he could take it a long way. Felton, taken by Dave Casper, but not until the ball that was deflected and returned by Felton was moved to the 19-yard line. And somebody really put a shot on Casper downfield. You saw it, and he was the man who made the save down at the 19.
Once again, Frank Kenny's got plenty of time to throw. You see Casper coming over the other side. He just couldn't. Whoa, he sure did get hit.
Ray Brown hit him.
Ray Brown.
Now watch, Casper will get on his feet down and run Felton down. Back to the action. Third down and 8. Manning wide open over the middle. Oh, we told you Galbraith was a receiver. Tony Galbraith.
A truly great catch. On the graphic we showed you earlier, I said there was a point I wanted to make. Galbraith had 214 receptions. That's his 215. Chuck Muncie had 108. This is why we talked about Galbraith's ability as a receiver. It is super.
That is unbelievable. He even turned in the air and reached back with the right hand and got it. Not bad coverage that time by Monty Johnson.
It was Al Davis who felt that Stabler was not properly conditioned a year ago, and he felt that therefore Kenny, not at optimum efficiency, was the key to the downfall of the Raiders a year ago.
Three wide receivers once again. Brunson, Martini, and Branch. Stabler throws it away. Alois Groom drops Stabler. That'll be 3rd and 15. 3rd and 2. Stabler with play action. Picked off. Borderline. Touchdown, New Orleans.
Kenny knows under terrible pressure he released the ball when he shouldn't have.
He got hit when he did it, too.
Branch out to the right. The first down is at the 17-yard line. Ramsey's intended. He's
all
open.
alone.
How do you like this?
All alone. We got ourselves a good one.
What a ball game this is turning out to be.
Derek Ramsey, touchdown, Stabler.
We emphasize again, Stabler shaken up, apparently out of the game. Plunkett going in for him, and Stabler insisting on going back.
Well, we saw this Oakland Raider team set a scoring record for Monday Night Football when they hit 45 against San Diego on a Thursday night. And this one is not over yet, as they say. Somebody said that before, haven't they?
Everyone becomes eligible once an eligible receiver touches it.
I'm glad you told me that, because I watched. Looked like Michelle's lined up in the backfield.
It's a new rule.
Complete. Cliff Branch, and what a move.
Goodbye.
Catch him.
Goodbye.
There are no flags down.
Is that wild?
That happened fast. 3:19 still left in the game.
Cliff Branch, who was a 9.3 sprinter in his days at the University of Colorado, when he gets the running room, you can write it off. He can really motor.
Well, it was not anything fancy, just one little outside. Look at that move he put on Eric Felton. Boy.
And what a beautiful block right there. Let's see if we can get that guy's number. The man who threw the block.
New Orleans with a 21-point lead. Then Stabler got hot. ABC News will present a special report every night after your late local news. And ABC News will keep you up to date on the Iranian situation and all the news weeknights on World News Tonight. We'll stay with our ABC News team. They're doing a whale of a job. To the field to get Oakland within 14 points. Somebody calls a fumble, and this is Mike Davis.
I heard. Oh, no. How about
now
that?
It's Ted Hendricks.
I don't believe this.
Somebody was calling fumble. You saw the ball come out of the hands of Muncie. Coming up with it was Mike Davis. He got the ball downfield to Hendricks, and Oakland is threatening.
Frank, the fans here are absolutely stunned.
Well, I don't blame him. My gosh, I heard that fumble, and he fumbled is trying to change hands.
And he did it by completely on his own. Nobody even hit him. He
Talk
just
about
the ball.
instincts. How about this one as he's going? Oh, that's got to be they got to bring it back, haven't they?
Well, it should have been brought back, but it's being marked at the 13. 35-35. Third down and 5 for the Oakland Raiders at the 8-yard line of the New Orleans Saints. Stabler has been over on the sidelines during the 2-minute warning break. Popped back out onto the field. Happened to be curious about how many points scored by two teams in one game. What the NFL record is, 113.
Good shot.
Washington against the New York Giants. Way back their win.
I like it. You think anybody's pulling harder for them to make a first down than Jim Breach?
I would suspect. Stabler. Cliff Branch, touchdown. Cliff Branch was spectacular. He was, well, I won't say benched, but he did not start tonight, but he has been the determining factor for Oakland here in the second half.
He certainly has, and Stabler with him, and what a remarkable comeback. This team that held its poise. I go back to what Dandy said earlier. This team knows how to win. The young New Orleans team must learn how to win.
I do think it's one of those intangibles that sounds really hokey, but you do have to learn how to do it. A good move by Branch, but the ball was drilled right in there between the 2 and the 1. Very crucial third situation, 3rd and 5. So now they've given New Orleans something to really shoot for.
Breach really etched on his face. That's good. And the Raiders have taken the lead for the first time tonight, 42-35.
Coming from the outside, that's working on Clarence Chapman. Into the inside, they just couldn't keep him out of it. The ball was well thrown, a good route run to the inside.
Far from over, 1:54 remaining. Archie Manning will have a couple of timeouts to work with.
Lester Hayes hugging Cliff Branch. Stabler.
You know, you get the feeling that Stabler, when they brought Branch into this game tonight, said, well, I'm going to get Branch off the hook. He's been a great receiver for me for many years, and sure enough, he's been going to Branch all night long. Archie Manning looking out on the field. Meanwhile, his counterpart, Stabler, was 26 of 44 for the night, 296 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, came off the mat here in the second half to go 10 of 20 for 149 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, me, Ken Stabler's washed up. He's as good as they come when he's on.
That's it, Dandy.
Yep.
See you in San Diego.
You got it, pal.
Pittsburgh and Houston coming up next Monday night, followed by San Diego and Denver on the final Monday night of ABC's NFL Monday Night Football.
Have 3 losses on the season. I think people expected it from the Raiders, not so much from the Saints. Hey, how are you, folks? Jason Horowitz, CBS Sports' Charlie Casserly. Glad to be with you on the NFL preview presented by Comcast. And Charlie, let's start with New Orleans coming off that tough Monday night loss to Minnesota. Another game in which Martin Gramatica had a chance to put them in front, couldn't do it. What's the effect of that game heading to this week?
Well, I think, first of all, Martin Gramatica won't be with us anymore. He's been placed on injured reserve. I think what you have here is with the Saints, I think they're going to be a very determined team. They've got an excellent quarterback who we're going to talk about in a minute. You've got a head coach who's already taken this team to the playoffs. It's a veteran team. I think they'll bounce back and be very determined when they play on Sunday. I don't think there'll be a hangover from the loss on Monday night.
As a whole, there's a possibility, as we're taping this on Thursday, a possibility that Marcus Colston and Jeremy Shockey could play on Sunday. Both had limited reps on Wednesday. We're talking about 2-3 weeks ahead of schedule for both of those guys, so that would be great news. But Drew Brees has continued to move this offense with everybody else around him, without his stars. When you look at him, can he win games by himself and take this team to the playoffs if The defense isn't there. They can't run the football. Can he continue to do that?
Well, I think going to the playoffs might be hard, but can they have a chance to win every week under the formula that you talked about? Absolutely. And here you can see his statistics. Look at the yards passing there, almost 1,700 yards in 5 games. I mean, that's fantastic. But what you have with Drew Brees is the guy is a very accurate passer who's a quick decision maker. You have an offensive coordinator / head coach. He's not the offensive coordinator, excuse me, but the head coach, Sean Payton, who calls the plays. Very creative in getting people open and creating mismatches, crossing routes, finding holes in zones. Drew Brees is very effective at seeing that and getting the ball off quick. So as long as Drew Brees is in the lineup, they got a chance to win every game they're in.
On the other side, there's the turmoil of when will Lane Kiffin be fired is done. They did that before the bye week. Tom Cable, the new head coach, and he'll get his first shot to be the head coach of a football team, at least an NFL team, on Sunday. Effects of this, Charlie, can you measure it at all heading into the game?
Well, I think a couple things happen. First of all, you eliminate all, if you want to call it a distraction in the locker room amongst the coaching staff. You know, who's going to be the head coach? Well, you know who's going to be the head coach. All right, now, you change the head coach, basically everybody in that building now is going to walk a little quicker because you know what? Hey, the owner stood around and the owner said, hey, I'm making a change. What's going to happen next? So I think you'll see a tremendous sense of urgency for the Raiders. The last thing, I would expect that Jamarcus Russell is going to be throwing the ball a little bit more in this football game. That's the one thing, and you can see here on his stats, nice, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, but we just saw Drew Brees has thrown for over 1,000 more yards. I would look for Russell and the Raiders to open it up a little bit more in this game.
And especially when you look at the Saints defense compared to the Raiders offense, you see why you expect the Raiders to pass the ball more. 245 yards a game the Saints are giving up through the air, and they're going to be without one of their starting corners for the rest of the season in Tracy Porter. I mean, that explains your theory right there.
Exactly. You look at that stat there. Raiders, 153 passing. Saints, 244.6 giving up on the pass. Hey, you've got one thing. One isn't very good at throwing the ball. One's not very good at defending it. Whoever wins that battle might win the ball game in this one because there's no question that you would expect the Raiders to test that pass defense.
Now, one of the headlines in this game is the fact that you've got 2 phenomenal players, and one we saw take 2 punt returns for a touchdown on Monday night in Reggie Bush. The other is Darren McFadden, who has had a week to get that toe healed and get better. Who's going to have the bigger impact and the bigger game on Sunday, Bush or McFadden?
Well, here's the question I want to know. Will the punter punt the ball to Reggie Bush? I tell you, I'm sitting there Monday night, and he's out kicking the coverage on every one. Then they say kick it out of bounds. He can't kick it out of bounds. I'll tell you what. You want to talk about a guy who's lucky to have a job this week, right there. Yeah. I mean, that's the guy who ought to be going. He ought to be out of business right now, the Minnesota punter. But I would think Bush will have a bigger impact here, only because he'll have more opportunities to have that impact, I would think, between the punt returns and using him as a pass receiver.
And especially if Colston and Shockey don't play, they need to throw it to him even more. And he's had a good impact this season here in his 3rd year. Let's throw all the numbers into the AccuScore prediction. 10,000 tests, 10,000 results, and here's what you've got. 72% of the time, the Saints come out on top on the computer. Oakland is on the road. They've off a bye. They've played teams tough. Do they win?
No, I'm going to go with the Saints, but I think what you set it up, I think Oakland will give them a heck of a ball game because when you start putting the parts together, Oakland can run the ball. If they can do anything in the passing game, then all of a sudden they create time of possession on their side there. But I just like the Saints with Drew Brees and his passing attack. I think that even though the Oakland secondary is talented, I think they'll find a way to move the ball. And most impressively to me on Monday night, the New Orleans Saints defense. Yeah. They shut Adrian Peterson down at home. I think they're going to stop the running game this Sunday, make it one-dimensional. And I'm not sure Oakland, their receivers are going to be consistent enough against that secondary that really it doesn't cover people too well from New Orleans. I like
Oakland's still waiting for Javon Walker to show up so far this season. I mean, they gave him all that money in the offseason. You know, maybe after the bye, the new head coach, maybe Javon Walker shows up in this game. We'll see. 1 o'clock Eastern on CBS. For more on this one or any other here in week 6. We're in week 6.
That's
unbelievable. Right. Be sure to stay with CBSSports.com. Check everything else out on the CBS Audience Network. For Charlie Casserly, I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care, folks.
Superdome, Kevin Harlan, Rich Gannon here in New Orleans for your NFL recap presented by Sprint. Big win for New Orleans. They go to 3-3, and Drew Brees was sensational.
Yeah, he was spectacular. I mean, his numbers were just phenomenal. He was efficient. At one point, he started 16 of 16. The Raiders really had no answer for him. They couldn't get any pressure on him, and that really was the difference.
Raiders debuted a new head coach. They lose again, third consecutive loss. Where do they go from here?
I think a lot of it, and people, the focus has always been on the coaching here. I think they have to look at themselves in the mirror in terms of the players. The effort, the energy has to be better, and someone has to emerge from that locker room and take on a leadership role with this football team. I think that's really what's holding back this football team.
All right, that's the story here in New Orleans, and tune in next weekend for more NFL action on CBS Sports. Coverage begins at noon Eastern with the NFL Today, and throughout the week, stay on top of all the latest NFL news and coverage from around the league at CBSSports.com. Good night from the Louisiana Superdome.
And the Raiders. Drew Brees trying to bounce back from a career-high 22 interceptions last season. There's Terrell Pryor taken in the third round of the supplemental draft. He will not play. Opening play of this game, Drew Brees finds Devery Henderson for a 37-yard gain. 7 plays later, Brees connects with Marcus Colston for 8 yards. That sets up first and goal at the Oakland 10. Third and goal now at the Oakland 1. And it's Mark Ingram who punches it in for the touchdown. The Saints, they take an early lead, 7-0. Ingram finishes 6 carries for 7 yards, 2 receptions for 24. Ensuing Raiders drive, Jason Campbell passes short to Derek Hagan, who stiff arms Tracy Porter and runs it in for the 35-yard touchdown. And the Raiders tie it at 7. Take another look at this. Hagan makes the catch, and there's the stiff arm. Runs it in, breaks free for the score. Derek Hagan would finish 6 catches for 121 yards and a TD. Ensuing Saints drive, 2nd and 8. Drew Brees connects with Jimmy Graham for a gain of 23. Graham finishes with 5 catches for 73 yards. Now 2nd and 10. Brees to Robert Meacham for a gain of 23. Second quarter now. Next Saints possession. Saints are leading at 14-7. Brees finds Jimmy Graham for the 19-yard gain, and the drive would end in a field goal. The Saints go up 17-7. Brees finishes 15 of 23 for 189 yards. Ensuing Raiders drive, Jason Campbell's pass is deflected at the line of scrimmage and caught by Stephon Heyer, who runs it for 14. Take another look at this. Campbell's pass is tipped by Will Smith and lands in the hands of tackle Stephon Heyer, who's able to run it for the 14-yard gain. Everyone's pumped up. Next Raiders possession, Jason Campbell, pass intended for Brandon Myers. It's tipped in the end zone and intercepted by Jonathan Amaya. Take another look at this. Malcolm Jenkins comes across the field and deflects it, and it ends up in Amaya's hands. The Raiders fall 40-20.